I've often wondered if you can start a company of your own so that you don't have to rely on an employer and probably can self petition yourself towards a green card. Is that even a possibility, or are you just dreaming of this situation? Well, there is good news. There is a possibility. You can actually start your own company and self petition your green card. But is it as simple as me just saying it? This is exactly why in today's discussion I have attorney Swapnali Kelkar, who's joining me from New Jersey, and we are going to be discussing how to start a company if you are on H-1B. My name is Neha Mahajan. I am the American Alien, and you are listening to the American Alien Podcast. Hi, Swapnali. Welcome. I am so excited to have you here with me today.
Hey, thanks, Neha. It's an honor to be with you on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I see you. I see you at work, and we discuss about these things all the time, and that's why I thought, why not bring all of this knowledge that you have here, and we talk about it, discuss about it for everybody's benefit. So, Swapnali, this is one question that comes quite often, I'm sure, to you and as well as to me, which is I'm on H-1B visa and I want to start my own company so that I can petition myself through that company. Is this even an option?
Yes, I have been getting these questions from multiple people nowadays because of all these layoffs happening, right?
Yeah.
So a straight answer to this question is yes. This option is available. Of course, there are multiple things which the one has to be mindful before, even he think of starting his own business and then getting his H1 visa sponsored through his own company and all that. That probably we will discuss it.
Yeah.
But the straight answer to this question is yes. Absolutely, one can if you are in H1B status and in United States, you can certainly start your own company.
That is such a relief because, in today's scenario, when mass layoffs are happening, this is such a relief because the options for visa holders are so limited. It's not easy for them to find another employer in this job market. So let's dive right into the nitty-gritties. I want to understand if H-1B visa holder approaches you today and asks you, hey, Swapnali, I want to start my company and self-petition myself. What would you guide? What would you tell them? How to be prepared for this?
Right. So first thing, as I said, if you are in H1B status, certainly you can start your own company or you can start your own business, right? Now, sometimes I have seen the H1B holders wants to invest in some kind of company in which they have their own shareholding. They want to be a silent shareholder, and they do not want to sponsor themselves or their H1B through that company. So if someone has this in mind, then I don't see any hiccups in this.
Okay.
They can definitely be a silent investor or a passive investor in a particular company, or maybe they can start their own company, be a passive shareholder, and that company can run its own business. But if someone is thinking of establishing a company so that he can sponsor himself through that company, then certainly the person has to be mindful about certain conditions. Now, what is H1B? H1B is always starting with a condition that there has to be an employer, which will be the US employer, and there has to be an employee. So to establish an H1B, the person or the petitioner has to establish the employment relationship between the petitioner and the employer.
Right.
Not only establishing the employment relationship is enough, but when the petitioner is offering a job offer, the offered job offer also needs to be a bona fide job offer.
Okay.
And when we are describing or talking about the employment relationship, how are you going to describe who is your employer?
Exactly.
So according to US regulations,
Yeah.
current regulations, to establish an employment relationship, what is important for the petitioner to establish that the petitioner has an ability to hire or fire or pay, supervise or control the work of its employee.
Right.
Now, going back with this definition or with these terms and conditions to establish a valid employment relationship, if one H1B employee who wants to start up his own business, he has to go through or he has to pass through all these terms and conditions. First, he has to establish his company, and the company should qualify as an US employer. So any company which is established in US, right,
Yeah.
will qualify as an US employer. Now, if he wants to sponsor himself through that company, he has to establish that employer-employee relationship, which just now I explained that
Right.
the petitioning company should have the ability to hire him. The petitioning company should have an ability to
So
fire him, to
yeah.
supervise his work, right?
So if I am an H-1B and I start my own company, I am the person who has the authority to hire and fire myself. How does that work? It's a
Yes.
little confusing, right?
Yes, so I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
So, for example, suppose I'm an H-1B holder and I started my own company and I'm the the 100% shareholder of the
Yeah.
company. Now, companies are always considered as an artificial person, which is distinct from its owners, which is distinct from its shareholders.
Right.
So that way, one person can wear two hats at the same time.
Right.
One can be the shareholder in the company at the same time. One can be the employee of the company, can be the director of the company, can be the officer of the company. But the main test for establishing an employment relationship is the petitioner should have hiring, firing abilities or supervising the work or controlling the work of the employer. So if I started a company and I am the 100% shareholder and I have no one in the company, then it's very difficult. I don't think USAS will ever approve because I'm not able to establish the employment relationship between me and the company. I understand company is distinct from me,
Right.
but company being an artificial person cannot hire me, cannot
Right.
fire me, cannot supervise my work. So we need to have some individual distinct from me who has an authority. Now, how to establish that? So for example,
Right.
if I'm the only person in my company, I would say it's not possible for you to sponsor yourself. But
Okay.
if I start something and I have few other investors, and then I have given them the authority to hire, to fire the
Okay.
employees, or to
And
supervise my work.
do these other investors have to be green card holders or citizens, or these could be other H-1B holders? Maybe a few of them got together and opened a company to probably sponsor each other.
I would say it's always better to have US citizens or green card holders because then you don't have to check their work authorizations,
Yeah.
right? Because if someone is going to be your manager, right, then definitely that person needs to be the employee of your company, right? And then again, the work authorization of that person will come into picture.
Right.
But it's not necessary. There is no rule which says that only green card holders or US citizens can be the
Okay.
partners or shareholders.
Yeah.
It can be anyone, and if that person is going to work for the company, then definitely he should have a work authorization,
Okay.
right? Now, for example, suppose there is someone who has H4 EAD,
Right.
then such person doesn't need any sponsorship from this particular company about which we are talking right now.
Right.
So that person can be the shareholder. So, for example, if your
Yeah.
own spouse is on H4 EAD,
Yeah.
she can be she can invest in that company. She can be your supervisor and all that. But again, I will say the more integrated familial relationship comes into picture, the question mark comes in whether the
Right.
wife is really going to supervise the work of her husband, whether
Okay.
the wife is really going to at some point, whether wife is really going to fire her husband.
And
So
also I feel the whole situation of the wife being on H4EAD and the husband being the primary applicant on which basis the wife actually got the EAD
exactly.
in the first case. How can that person be the one, even if that person has 50% stake in the company, can be the supervisor? I mean, it's a little complicated in
It
my,
can be. It
yeah,
can be. But again, see, her status is always appended to his status,
right,
right?
yeah,
So, in case, unfortunately, he left his earlier job, he sponsored himself through this company, and if that didn't go well, right, or
yeah.
if that case is denied, so if he is going to lose his H-1B status, definitely she is going to lose her H-4 status and she is going to lose her H-4 EAD.
Okay,
But there is always risk involved. I mean,
okay,
though I said you can self-petition even though you are in H-1B status and all that,
yeah.
it's not that easy. It comes with its own limitations, and the H-1B holder will have to comply. He will have to be very careful with all these other requirements.
Right.
which are needed to establish, that employer-employee relationship, so
Okay.
that the person can qualify for the.
So we've already discussed two major aspects of opening up a business and then sponsoring yourself through that business. First is that you need to establish that that particular business, as per USCIS, as per the guidelines, is in a good standing, right?
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure a startup that was just envisioned and just literally started, without an established funding, without an established revenue stream, cannot do it, right? It has to be an established entity in that sense. And then secondly, it's always better to have some sort of a green card holder or a citizen in partnership, so that the whole dynamic of running a business, of
Yeah.
hiring and firing and other necessities of a business, can be established to that person without really getting into proving the work authorization of that particular person, so that your H-1B, kind of is safe in that sense. What are the other aspects that people must be, visa holders must be careful of?
Right. Now, as I said, when we are talking about the H-1B,
Yeah.
the first requirement is you have to have an US employer. The second requirement is that petitioner should make a bona fide job offer. The third requirement for an H-1B visa is the bona fide job offer must offer him a job which qualifies as a specialty occupation, meaning thereby the job requires a person who has a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
There is one more condition for an H-1B is that you have to file the labor condition application, which we
Right.
call often as LCA,
Yeah.
and the petitioner is bound to pay the beneficiary the prevailing wage.
Yeah.
Minimum, whatever is the minimum prevailing wage, the employer needs to pay it to the beneficiary.
Right.
Okay? Now, just take up an example that because I got laid off, I have 60 days of grace period. I thought of starting my own company. I got three of my friends. We four together, invested in the company. I'm establishing that, okay, with my voting agreement or maybe with my shareholding agreements and all that, showing that these three are basically running the company. They have
Right.
all the authority to supervise my work, to control my work, to release me the payment.
Yeah.
They have an authority to hire and fire me and all that. All that has been established. What about the business? What about the work availability? Right?
Yeah.
It's just a startup. What if I do not have any work?
Uh-huh.
What if my company, because I think in US establishing just to start a company is very easy.
Right.
Companies can be formed in a day or two. But when you are sponsoring someone through that company and when you're sponsoring an H-1B through that company, the requirement is the person should have a specialty occupation work available for him
Right.
when the visa is sponsored or when you're
Right.
filing that petition. Now, because this is a new company, for example, you might not be having enough work available for yourself. You might not be having that much of funding so that you can establish that the employer is making the payment of the prevailing wages. Right?
Right.
Whatever is the
Yeah.
minimum wage for your
Yeah.
role, whatever. So these are another, I would say, conditions which one has to be mindful.
Okay.
Now, you must have heard most of the IT companies bench their
Yeah.
employees.
The bench period. Yes. The infamous
Right?
bench
When,
period. Yes.
when there is no work available for them.
Yes.
Now, the same benching may happen with this new startup. We just tried to secure another H-1B because I am not
Right.
able to find some other new employer and I have sponsored myself. But after that, how long I can wait for the work for me to be available through my
Right.
own company?
And that project can take a long time. It
Long time.
can't
And
happen
honestly,
overnight. Yeah.
if finding a new employer is so
Yeah.
difficult in this market today, is it possible for me to secure a new project with this new company which nobody in the market knows about it? Right?
Right.
It will
Unless you
create
have a long-standing personal
exactly,
relationship, and then,
exactly.
yeah.
So, assuming a worst condition that, for example, suppose I'm not getting any kind of a project, then
Yeah.
another question comes in how long I can be non-productive for
Right.
this
Okay.
particular company? Am I violating the status being non-productive?
So what's your guidance? What's your
Right.
advice?
So the answer to this question is the USCIS hasn't mentioned anywhere a typical number of months or a specific days or
Yeah.
anything, but usually we say if the person is non-productive for a certain number of days or for a reasonable period of time, maybe around 2 months
Yeah.
probably, right? Then in that case, definitely his H-1B status is questionable. So you
Right.
formed your company, but if you are unable to procure any work,
Yeah.
then and then definitely, your H-1B
Right.
status is
Because
jeopardized.
how are you going to show or produce those pay stubs?
Yes.
Right. So,
So the first thing is, if you're not able to pay him the prevailing wage, definitely you are not complying with the terms and conditions of your
right.
LCA. So DOL can, come back on you. And
Right.
if you are not providing any work, or if you don't have any work for yourself through your own company, maybe for more than 60 days or so, and if you're non-productive just because of lack of work,
Yeah.
then also, you're violating your H-1B status.
Okay.
So
Okay.
even though you can establish your company, you can sponsor H-1B through that.
Yeah.
Just be mindful before you,
Okay.
really jump into this option.
So, my next question, and this is going to be the last question today, very quickly, I want to ask you if I were to start my company today, then sponsor my H-1B, can I also file for my green card? Will that actually help me in getting further in line because I'm born in India?
I would say, why not? I mean, if you are able to procure the H-1B relationship through your own company, if
Yeah.
you're establishing that option for yourself, then certainly you can even sponsor, for your own green card.
Yeah.
Maybe let's take up some another situation where your green card is already there.
Okay.
Right? Your 485 is already pending for almost 180 days,
Right.
and now you got laid off. Then what?
Yeah.
Now, even if that is the situation, you can start your own company, and then, you can sponsor your green card, or you can continue with that. You can file a 485J through your own company, and you can try to, secure your green card through that way. So certainly that is also a possible way. But as I said, getting H-1B itself is really difficult. It has a lot of scrutiny involved in it. I don't know the percentage of such petitions, how many
Yeah.
such petitions USCIS is approving,
Yeah.
because it catches a lot of scrutiny in it. So one has to be mindful before he really jumps into this.
Absolutely. And that's where the expertise of attorneys such as yourself comes into picture. And that's why, we believe in no speculations, but hard facts. And that's exactly why week after week I come up with topics where we discuss various possibilities so that it can help you as a non-immigrant, as someone who's on H-1B, trying to navigate the already strenuous the whole immigration situation here in United States of America. I'm trying really hard to make it simple for you so that you have just the right kind of information that's coming right from the attorneys, the legit advice, if I may call it. And if you have any questions that are particular to your situation, please send them to me. My email ID is right here, and I'll be able to help you set up a consultation if that's what's needed. I will come up with another topic. If you have any suggestion for me for a topic that you'd like for me to talk about with another attorney or with Swapnali, I'll be happy to do that for you. So I will see you next time. And thank you so much for watching. And a shameless plug, I've been doing it week after week. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do that right now. I will see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.